I'm Gab. He's Jules. Gray skies over West London, but it doesn't matter because Jules is back to brighten the day.
Yes.
We're going to be talking a lot of transfers on the show.
Yeah.
Because we're in that weird week after 1 week of the season. It's a weird midweek Champions League qualifiers. And I just want to talk about the transfer market because it feels, I think, as if this summer very little money has been spent. There's still a ton of uncertainty out there. I want to break this down in a somewhat intelligent way, if we can. But first and foremost, you agree, and the numbers don't lie about this.
It's just not a feeling, Gab. I think it's the fact that in every league, including the Premier League, which is the richest, the most powerful league in the world, even some clubs there are very careful on how they spend their money, where they spend it, and looking at selling well, even before signing players. Liverpool, for example, have yet to sign anybody. They will be adding a few players. We will talk about that in quick hits later. But it's still strange that you've got 4 clubs in France who are not going to sign anybody, who haven't signed, who are just thinking about selling. Same in Spain and Italy and Germany as well. It's not the numbers that we used to see in previous transfer windows.
Although I even wonder if last season, I wrote a piece after the summer market closed last year, if this trend hadn't actually begun last summer as well. It's just that we didn't notice it at much because you got this big boost of money from the Saudi Pro League,
true.
Recirculating around Europe. That money's not there now.
And it is still, but
it's a lot less. Right?
Yeah,
it's a lot less. And what I'm wondering right now is this just down to profit and sustainability rules in the Premier League and elsewhere, UEFA's new version coming in? Is there a broader sense that clubs maybe the business side of it isn't as good as clubs thought it was going to be in terms of endless growth and whatever, even though, to be fair, there never was that endless growth. Is it that clubs are getting smarter and saying, you know what, I'd rather get a 21-year-old guy who performs at 5 out of 10 compared to a 28-year-old guy who performs at 5 out of 10, because a 21-year-old guy is going to cost me a ton less in wages, and I've got potential resale value if I move him on. All these factors come into it, right?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe the different approach maybe from ownership as well. There maybe was a time where owners, really rich people, would be very happy to just splash the cash and give money to their club for them to sign players, regardless of if they were making then a profit or not. And it was just that kind of mentality. And now even very rich owners are just far more careful and are a bit reluctant to go into their own pocket to either cover some debts or going to loan money to get signings and things like that, which is a completely fair point. Even if you're super rich, doesn't mean that you have to do crazy stuff with your money.
I want to know, for the record, for those who aren't watching us on YouTube, that Jules, as he speaks, is wearing a Gael Clichy number 22 Manchester City shirt as he talks about owners willing to spend.
I'm just saying the approach might be different, slightly from in the past.
One of the upshots of
But is it a trend though? That was my next question to you. Is this going to stay like this, or for many seasons to come? Is it going to be different next summer?
Listen, I think this is what you call, I think, a free market correction. I think people are realizing that the value added of certain types of players isn't as high. I think people are becoming smarter. People that, coupled with the new regulations, which I don't think are not much tougher than before, but it's just good business, right? The fact that we're moving towards, you can't spend more than 70% of your revenue on players. It seems like common sense if I'm running a business, right? And some will challenge it to, no, what about growth? Blah, 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 the cartel. We're going to break this down more in the Gab Juls Show, but one thing I want to ask you about is, because we're seeing this really messy situation, obviously with Chelsea, but not just Chelsea, a lot of clubs have guys training on their own. Real Sociedad, Juventus, as they try to force a transfer or force through a transfer or try to get rid of players. It's incredibly messy. We've got free agents who are out there nobody's talking about. We'll get to Depay and Rabiot later. Would we be better off if the league hadn't started yet? If the window shut before the leagues?
It's the eternal debate, isn't it? I don't think you should start a league when the window is still open, when everybody can sign players, and for another 2 or 3 weeks after the start of the season. But for that, everybody would have to do the same, which is never going to happen.
Well,
So
in the past, that was the counter argument, right? In the past, you had like France, I remember, started way early. Spain started way late. This year, I mean, 4 of the big 5 leagues all started on the same weekend.
Yeah.
And the Bundesliga is going to start the next week. I wonder if there's more of an appetite for coordination for everybody to benefit.
Maybe.
Because if you get the top 10 leagues in there, then I'm okay with it. I don't think it's going to have a big knock-on effect because, somebody's going to come from Slovakia and
change the dynamic of the
market. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.